This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Today, you have us. We don't have a special guest, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done one just us two. So
yeah,
and I love the topic. I love what we're going to talk about today.
It's because you always tease me about my.
This is Joni's slogan. So we're gonna. It's your net. You say it because it's your slogan.
Your network is your net worth.
Yeah, so it's no, it's good, and part of the reason it's not only your slogan, but I think you're really good at it, and I think we're going to get into why and what you've developed over, the last couple of years. You've really focused on your net work.
Well, I think
you've developed it, you've nurtured it. And we're going to talk about doing all that, but you really have nurtured it, and it's produced a lot of great things. And we're going to talk about that, all different spectrums, personally, business, the whole everything. And so I think it is.
I just think it's an important part of business, and I think you have to do that because really, like network, you have to building long-term relationships that is beneficial really to both parties, and that's really how you have to look at it. Like when I look at it. And I'm out there building those relationships and connecting with people. It's all about helping them. It's all about adding value to them, right? And sometimes I get like, why do you do that? Why do you go above and beyond for somebody, right? I've heard that plenty of times, and
never from me, never from our team, but yeah, go ahead.
And I do it because to help them, of course. That's just who I am. That's my nature. But also, even though if I don't get that immediate response, I know that down the road, somehow, I might need that person.
Yeah.
They might, bring a client to me, or they might need assistance with, virtual assistants or property management, you name it, right? And so I'm their person. They know, I know Joni, I can go to Joni.
No, I agree 100%. I think there's something, as you were talking, I was thinking about, there's another aspect to this whole network is your net worth, and I think it goes back to we were raised like who you associate with is who people can who are you associate with look at the income of those people, more likely you're make that same amount of money, and people hold each other in groups to that. So if you want to develop more money and have a higher net worth, a lot of times you have to move out of that sphere that you're
100%.
And so you really watch and stay guarded to who is in your immediate network, but we're talking about a little bit more broader.
Right, but
today.
100%. And I can, kind of, going back when I was a little girl, and seeing my mom, the way she struggled to support my brother and I, and the fear of me having to struggle as well, like all I can think about is like, how do I get out of this? I need to hang out with people that, are dreamers, that think bigger than me. And ultimately I found you, so I guess it works, right?
Yeah. And then like I got you involved in all these businesses, and you're like, what did I sign up for?
No, I don't say that.
But
no, 100%.
Yeah, and some of the the benefits. Going back first, let's talk about like I said before, you do a great job of nurturing, providing value to other people. And we're going to get into how you do that effectively and how you can build. If you don't have a strong network right now, how you can go about doing that. But let's just talk about some of the benefits of why you would even consider, building it. And what we're talking about is going above and beyond. I think, a lot of professionals, a lot of adults, I think when they become adults, it's like, okay, it's whoever I go to work because I got to hire there. So I have my people at work, and then I have my friends at home that maybe I grew up with or whatever. And that's about as far as they ever get. And what we're talking about is taking it one step further and really developing, whether you're an employee, a business owner, a stay-at-home mom, like everybody can start working on developing their network. And the reason why is because there's so many things in life that you require help from other people. Support.
Trust, support.
And then also, and that the biggest problem, like you mentioned earlier, is I think people would look at that too much one way. So it's they're constantly looking at like what can everybody else do for me? And when you're starting to build your network, it's you got to focus on what can I do for others and your network. And then when you need something, you can call on people because you've already helped somebody or supported.
Absolutely. And that's how you truly build a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct. Is serving other people. Yeah. So, and I think go back to Jesus and the Bible, but the, some of the reasons why, or benefits from it is, that we've seen and why you'd want to consider building your network regardless of what you're in, because if you're in business or you're an employee or you're a salesperson, it can lead to definitely sales leads, right?
Absolutely.
So the more people that know that, hey, Joni does property management, and the bigger you grow that network, and people aren't going to just refer you unless they have a relationship with you. Right. Maybe they're not a client of yours, but they know you've developed those things, you've gone above and beyond for them. So like, man, this Joni is really taking care of me. I'm going to take care of her. When my neighbor needs to rent his house,
I know who
of course I'm going to go and tell him, hey, go work with Joni. She's the best in town. Even though he doesn't know that, he just knows that you're a good person.
Yeah.
So
it builds your reputation, right? And it builds that trust and support as well.
Correct. Another really good thing that you can do with your network is it provides you access to suppliers, contractors, vendors. I don't know. I got a handful of people that I've nurtured relationships over the years that when I need, I don't know, like a carpet or installer or I need something done immediately or quickly in one of our houses. Yeah. I got a handful of people because I've taken care of those. Our network, I can call and they'll be there tomorrow.
So I'll give you a perfect example of that. So during the ice freeze, remember when we couldn't find any plumbers, we couldn't find anybody to do any work because they were flocking to where the money was, right? We literally were able to call our vendors because we had built that long-term relationship with over 15 years, right? And so they knew that Shawn and Joni were going to take care of them and have been taking care of them. And ultimately, we'd call them and they would be there.
And also, we could call them and ask for referrals. So, people know people, in different trades and, their family members and all that. And so, if you take care of people and nurture those relationships, you can call them and say, hey, so-and-so, or, do you know anybody that does this? Or, hey, I need my car service, a good, reliable person in Cypress, Texas. And so those kind of, that's where it can benefit you in all areas of life. But another one that I think was kind of cool, and we just experienced it earlier this year, was, with lenders or private lending. Yes. And, obviously, we've had great banking relationships over the years.
But it was built over relationships
and over a long period of time, right? So, like, I remember...
our title company, the owner of our title company, he referred us to a banker.
Remember when he was a private lender for us, but then I said, I need a contact for a bank. He personally introduced me to that banker, and that banker's been with me now for,
15 years.
15 years, yeah. It's longer, I think, 17 years now. Yeah. That I've been using this one banker. And then that relationship has spun into other relationships with,
other lenders and also
other lenders. Yeah. And so, and then lending wise, what was really cool is we started our fund earlier this year, and I really had to heavily use our network to raise money.
Right.
And it was somewhat uncomfortable because I'm not one that likes to do that, but that was an instance where I had taken care of other people for many years, and it was times like, hey, I need, and it wasn't even, and I'm looking at it wrong. It wasn't like I really needed, I was providing a service or benefit to them and also to anybody they knew. And so, yes, I called on all our network to raise money and see if they were interested or would they have somebody that they knew would be interested in investing in the fund, because it was a benefit I felt that was critical to the times and where interest rates were and all that. So
yes,
anyway.
Absolutely.
Business opportunities. You want to talk about that? That's a good one. A good story. Right?
Yes. I mean, one of our virtual assistant company, right? Yeah. So we kind of just fell into that. So a buddy of mine, he's a buddy of mine now, but he was a big competitor of ours for many years here in Houston, had one of the bigger property management companies. and he sold to a bigger company, a tech company, and he had this company that he was just going to let go. And he's like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Well, shoot, well, yeah. Why? I mean, why wouldn't I, right? Because I already had virtual assistants." So that just fell into my plate just because of the relationship that I built with him over the years.
Right.
So.
And then we've carried that on further, and that's led to other speaking engagements, networking engagements, you know, so many other things that came out of that one relationship. Yeah. So it's pretty neat. Networking and masterminding. So this is, Joni and I have been invited to some really cool networking events and masterminds, but in destination locations. So like, you know, Zihuatanejo, the first time we ever went there was for a mastermind, and it was because of our network, and we got to, while we're there, we also got to mastermind and network, you know, in the pool or, you know, at private dinners, and it was neat. It takes it to a whole nother level, you know, and you're there with somebody that maybe has a much larger, one of the guys that we spent, I remember, in the pool and got to know really well was, he has one of the largest wholesaling companies in the entire country, and it's huge, and they do like 2,000 wholesales a month, and wholesale deals, and so it was neat to see that level of size of a wholesale business,
But also with that, like what I absolutely loved about the masterminds, like I can remember, you know, we talk about the collective genius a lot, which you know, that I love that group, and a lot of people from that network, our relationships,
and people are part of the show. You know, that we invite. A lot of the guests are from that, and that's spun a lot of but I can remember, you know, inviting them into my office, and you know, them getting started in their property management companies, and inviting them in and just kind of showing them what we had in the processes, all of that, right? And it just led to bigger things down the road, right? And if we needed anything, like, we can call up any one of those guys and they would be there for us. Yeah, I needed lending a couple months ago, and I called a couple people, and they had the money for me, and it was a pretty easy process. Also, you know, when we've wanted to visit some offices and like, hey, how are you doing this? How are you running such an efficient operation and we've, you know, I've gone to Memphis to watch a whole office and operation. I remember that. I'm like, why would Memphis Invest invite us in their office? Like, we're big competitors, right? But he's such a giver as well. You know, it's all about, let me add value to you, because eventually, like, and you should be asking the question, like, what can I do to help you? Anytime you make that connection. They got a lot of value while we were there. There were certain things that they were struggling with that we shared, how, hey, well, here's what we do, or here's what we're charging, and it opened their eyes up too as well. So it was mutually beneficial, but it was, I think being not so the glass half empty versus half full, you know, and it's that mindset of like, you know, hey, there's an abundance mindset, and it might not be an immediate result. You might not get benefit out of it right away, but it's a long-term relationship connection that you're building, right? Because you just never know. Never know. And a good recent one was we happened to get free World Series tickets to the Game 1, and then we had to just pay face value for Game 6 where they won the World Series, the Astros, and so that was just recent, and that was all because of the prices of the tickets were unreal. So this was a big deal, and so, but that was all because of a good relationship, a good friendship that we've kept over the years. He owns a successful restaurant. We dined there a lot. We did our quarterly there, and so again, we're helping him by supporting his restaurant, and at the same time he supports us and got us Astros tickets. So it's pretty cool. So that's the level of networking and the power of it. But there's been so many, but those are some of the examples. But you know, as far as how would you recommend, Joni, starting to build one? Say if somebody young, you know, don't have maybe, you know, other than their friends, maybe they grew up and went to high school with, but they now are in business, they're trying to develop it. What would you recommend?
Honestly, I think like getting out and talking to people. Don't just be stuck in your office or, you know, at home, whatever. Like, get out there and talk to people, right? Make those connections, even though it might not lead to anything. Like, get out there and actually get out of your comfort zone and start talking to people. Go to networking events. I know I love networking events because I can talk to people all day long. I mean, Shawn doesn't go with me because he doesn't like them. But just get out there, put yourself out there. Over the last couple years, I think I've put ourselves out there with our podcast and our videos, all of that. And so when they see me, they're like, oh, I've seen you somewhere. So whenever I go to a networking event, they come talk to me because they see me somewhere. Yeah. So definitely networking events and, any masterminds are great. I think we all, should be in a mastermind. We should have support, by like-minded people.
Right. And so majority of the networking events, there's so many Facebook, there's so many invites to different, and a lot of them can be in your line of business, so that it could be in anything. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, or it could, there's a bunch of those type of networking and group events for moms to meet and talk and share their stories and all that. There's ones you can do, ones for sales, ones for real estate, and majority are free. So like you can go out and just meet people, like-minded people that are interested in the same things as you, and that starts to develop and you'll find great friendships and needs through all those. And then, like Joni said,
I think a lot of people too are like afraid of doing that, right? I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to get to know people, right? Because the fear of just putting themselves out there. But for us, I think that, we did a couple of things. We went to an improv class to get us out of our comfort zone. I think that was extremely helpful for somebody that's shy, maybe, doesn't talk a lot, getting out of your comfort zone. Also BNI meetings, right? Getting out there, presenting, and just putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And then what you mentioned earlier, I think really helped our network and sphere of influence, or people that we've helped and then they've helped us as well, as the masterminds. And in those cases, yes, you're going to have to pay. There's a fee, and it's a cost, but the investment, not only in the education and all that you learn, but the one reason we stayed, with Collective Genius for so many years was just the network alone. Like it was like we were paying for the network, more so than the education and everything that we learned while we were there at the events. But it was more that, hey, I had just people I could call and got to meet new people at every meeting, and and people that I could help, but also when I needed something, they were there.
Yes, I mean, for anyone that's a business owner that's not in a mastermind, I think that right there is crucial. Yeah. Like everybody should be budgeting. We spent thousands and thousands a year on masterminds, even at our level, right? And so you need to budget for that because you need to be there. You need to be in one.
Yeah. It's something I wanted to really emphasize that you mentioned earlier. You don't be a taker, just a taker, because don't just we get calls a lot of times where people just want to like pick our brain or just want this, and it's like people that are successful or people that have had success in certain areas that maybe you want to network with or you want to get to know, and all, they're busy people, right. And so like and majority of want to help and want to do, but they also just get bombarded with people just wanting things, or help me with this or answer this and stuff like that. So try to find a way to put your foot in the door by serving them. And that's going to be the key. And you mentioned it earlier. So just, how can you benefit them? What can you do to go above and beyond to benefit? There's got to be something in your life or something that you can to help that person with. And then just know that it's never a perfect one-to-one relationship. Yeah. There might be you might do 2 or 3 things for somebody, and then all of a sudden that one thing is probably worth all the 3 things, but like that they can call on you. Or
right.
whatever.
And you just got to know that, and sometimes I question and I wonder, like, I'm helping this individual out like a lot, am I going to get anything in return? You start to question that because you sometimes don't feel that, or you feel like all they're doing is taking, right? But I mean, that's hard, but I think you still got to be there to provide value, right? Because it will come back. Like I've known there's times where those people that I felt like I wasn't going to get nothing in return, when I needed something and I needed their help, I went and asked for it. And they're there to help me because I might have to ask for it, but a few times, but they're going to give it to me because they know that I've helped them.
Correct. So it's never a one-to-one. Just know that going in, and there's some people like they've helped us out so much or tremendously, and like I don't even know how I can constantly repay the favor, but it just know that. So and just I think if takeaway for anything is look to serve other people. Right. And your network will start to grow if you're just out there putting yourself out there serving other people. You'll find that people will attract to you just because you're serving others.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
So that's all I had, but you got anything else to finish?
No, I think that was all good. The only other thing that I'll mention, I think also not to burn bridges with anything, with somebody. I think that a lot of times maybe it doesn't go well. Maybe you have an employee that quits, right? And sometimes we try to take it personal, but I mean, I've learned in my career that I've always kept it professional, kept the peace with it all, because that will also come back as well. I've had employees even bring me back deals and say, hey, this is a great the best property management company in town, and they'll refer me out. So just never burn those bridges.
That's a great point. So awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, your network is your net worth.
Yes.
And we'll leave you with that. And hope everybody has a really great week. And we'll see you all next week.
See ya, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolf'sDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.